I can say to my new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, hey, find a keto-friendly restaurant nearby and text it to Beth and Steve. And it does, without me lifting a finger. So I can get in more squats anywhere I can. 1, 2, 3.
Will that be cash or credit?
Credit. 4.
Galaxy S25 Ultra, the AI companion that does the heavy lifting so you can do you. Get yours at Samsung.com. Compatible with select apps. Requires Google Gemini account. Results may vary based on input. Check responses for accuracy.
Today on CityCast Pittsburgh, it's the most dreaded time of the year, tax season. And if you're feeling confused or overwhelmed, we're sharing some great local resources that can help make the process a little less painful. Plus, we're talking through what you need to know about the new county tax increase. It's Wednesday, February 19th. I'm Mallory Falk, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about. I'm here with Hey Pittsburgh editor Francesca Dabecco. Hey, Francesca.
Hello.
Here to talk about the most thrilling of topics. Did you file your taxes yet?
No. I'm a procrastinator. Have you?
I am also a procrastinator, and my partner is the resident tax filer in our family. So I have not, and I will not be. I'm going to just pass all my documents over to him.
Good for you.
I will say I don't actually think you can be considered a procrastinator just because you haven't filed your taxes by February. But A, it's never too early. And B, I just saw reporting in USA Today that says some tax accountants are actually advising people to file early this year because, you know, the IRS is facing a hiring freeze under President Trump, and the agency could also lose like thousands of workers over the next couple weeks as Trump tries to downsize the federal government. Yeah. So some of these CPAs are saying if you're expecting a refund or if you'll need assistance, you should really consider filing those taxes as early as possible. One other tip I read about is if you are getting a refund, ask to get it in the form of a direct deposit because that's going to move faster than a paper check.
Oh, got it. So with that in mind, we're going to cover what you need to know to pay your taxes before, maybe well before the federal April 15th deadline. Mm-hmm. And we're going to also talk about some free local resources if you need some help.
I feel like I shouldn't have just admitted on mic that I'm not the one who handles my taxes when I'm about to give tax advice to our audience. But I'm gonna start off here with some like important local updates that are critical to know. So the big news this year is that local property taxes have gone up. So if you own a home in Allegheny County, this will affect you. Renters, you can sit back and relax for a minute.
Yeah, in case you missed it, the county raised property taxes for the first time in more than a decade, so it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, and this was pretty essential to just ensure that the county can keep, functioning, that it didn't have to make some pretty devastating cuts to essential services.
Yeah, things like emergency responses, public transit, things like that.
Yeah, if you want to learn more about this and kind of how we ended up here in the first place, we talked about all of this with our county executive, Sarah Innamorato, last year. We will drop a link to that interview in our show notes. So definitely give that a listen if you want more of the context here.
Yeah, like why your bill is going up.
Yeah.
But the short version is the county raised property taxes by 1.7 mils. What the heck does that mean?
Right. The simplest explanation is, let's say you own a house that's assessed at around $110,000. You will be paying about $13 more every month. And that $110,000 number, I didn't just pull it out of nowhere. That is the median assessed home value in Allegheny County. If you're thinking that sounds really low, remember that assessed value is not the same thing as market value.
Right. It's not what you'd see if you look up your house's estimate on Zillow. It's going to be lower than that.
Exactly. So if you are a homeowner here in the county, your property tax bill should be arriving any minute. You might actually have it in hand by the time you hear this episode. I believe those bills are in the mail right now. But if you are feeling a little antsy, the county does have this page where you can just plug in your address and see how much your payment is changing every month. I just tried it this morning. It was very easy. I had a much better sense how much extra I'm going to be paying. We will put a link to that in our show notes as well so that you can try it out.
Yeah, I did mine too. It was really simple and nice to just see that laid out, and also good if you misplace your snail mail. But some slightly good news for the county tax. The county just extended the deadline to pay your property taxes. This is really important to know because when you do get your property tax bill in the mail, it's going to have the wrong deadline on it.
Yes, this is very important to pay attention to because, county council, they just voted to extend the deadline by about a month. But when they did that, the bills were already printed with the old deadline. So when you get your mail, ignore the date on there. The deadline to pay property taxes in Allegheny County is May 31st.
Yes, but if you can, I would recommend paying those taxes early because if you pay by April 30th, you can get a 2% discount. I looked up mine and I would save around $15 if I did that. So I should
fancy latte in your future or something more important and responsible. And then one more important tip here, which is if you qualify for a homestead exemption, make sure you've applied for it, that you filled out that paperwork. If you haven't heard of this before, it's essentially a tax discount if you own a house that's like your main primary residence. So, it doesn't apply to your vacation home or your rental property if that's how the kind of life you live. Exactly. So yeah, if you bought a new home this year or you bought a home a while ago, but you've never heard of this before and have not pursued it, definitely get that homestead exemption because it will save you money and more than $15. You're going to be able to buy a lot of lattes.
Yeah, exactly. And your realtor probably would have mentioned this to you if you qualify. And if you're not sure, you can still check in with them. And like all of the other resources we've been mentioning, we will put this information in our show notes.
Okay, so I have one more newsy update about county taxes before we move on. But yeah, I think it is important to just understand the tax landscape here before you dive in and start filing these bad boys.
Yes.
So, we mentioned that the county just raised property taxes, but there has also been this looming question about whether it's going to need to do a whole countywide property reassessment. That is another thing that hasn't happened in a long time. Not going to get into the weeds on that one here, but basically last year, Pittsburgh Public Schools actually sued the county trying to force a reassessment.
Yeah, they said the current system is broken and it's harming the district and costing it more money.
So the update is that a judge just threw out that lawsuit. He wasn't ruling on, whether or not the county should do a reassessment. He just ruled that the district does not have the legal standing to bring this lawsuit. Not going to go into all the details here. There is still another lawsuit out there that was brought by a homeowner in Churchill. A lawyer for PPS says the district is evaluating its options and might appeal the ruling. So a lot of this is still up in the air, but just this big recent update, I think it's important to know, is that at least for right now, the county is not going to be legally compelled to do this countywide property reassessment.
Yeah, and stay tuned. We'll be following it for you.
Ready to conquer your next big challenge? Make 2025 your medal year by signing up for the Dick's Sporting Goods Pittsburgh Marathon weekend of events. Happening May 3rd and 4th in Pittsburgh, it's more than a marathon. Choose from a marathon, relay, 5K, and more. And if you prefer walking, join the popular half-marathon walking division. The Pittsburgh Marathon isn't just about running. It's about community, celebration, and pushing yourself to new limits. Over 300,000 fans will be cheering you on through the streets of the Steel City. And the hardest step is the first one, signing up. A registration today is a commitment to your future self. Join the excitement by visiting thepittsburghmarathon.com. Use CityCast15 to save 15% off any event registration. That's thepittsburghmarathon.com. And again, use that code, CityCast15, for 15% off any event.
Today's show is sponsored by the Frick Pittsburgh Museum and Gardens and their newest, still upcoming exhibition. Mark your calendars for artist Kara Walker and her Harper's Pictorial History of the Civil War annotated. If you don't know Walker's work yet, this is a perfect time to acquaint yourself. Her contemporary artworks are on display all over the United States, literally San Francisco to New York, and soon right here in our own backyard. She has won a MacArthur Genius Grant. The Washington Post even called her this generation's Andy Warhol. She really brings the hype. Now, I have only seen pictures of this exhibition, so I'm going to be just like most of y'all, checking this out for the very first time. But we should look forward to big, big artworks. Walker's bringing 15 large-scale prints where she uses these striking black silhouettes over old Harper's Weekly engravings to depict the racist and violent reality that often gets glossed over in traditional historic narratives. Walker uses silhouettes in so much of her work. She says they really say a lot with very little information, just like a stereotype. The exhibition, Kara Walker, Harper's Pictorial History of the Civil War Annotated, opens soon at the Frick on March 1st. Get tickets and learn more at thefrickpittsburgh.org.
What sort of promises have you made to yourself this year? Maybe get in better shape or eat healthier, save more money, travel somewhere new. What about discovering a new culture by learning a new language? With Babbel, you can do that in just a few weeks. I'm CityCast CEO David Plotz, and I'm having such a good time learning Spanish on Babbel this year. I'm taking a trip to Mexico City in the spring, and Babbel is giving me the Spanish foundation that's going to make my trip so much better. Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons, handcrafted by more than 200 language experts, get you to begin speaking your new language in 3 weeks, or at whatever pace you choose. And because conversing is the key to really understanding each other in a new language, Babbel is designed using practical, real-world conversations. And one way they do that is with their own podcasts. I'm a podcast listener. I'm guessing since you're listening to this podcast, you are too. And I have been getting ready for my Mexico City trip by listening to Babbel's conversational podcasts. There's a short conversation you listen to, then an instructor talks you through what happened, and then you listen again, and then you catch everything when you listen that second time. There's also a great read-along transcript, too, which I love. The one I did today was with Maria and Carmela trying to make dinner plans, but Carmela is so busy. She's way too busy with work and yoga, but finally they agreed on brunch on Saturday. Studies from Yale, Michigan State, and other universities continue to prove that Babbel works. One study found that using Babbel for 15 hours is equivalent to a full semester at college. So let's get more of you talking in a new language. Babbel is gifting CityCast listeners 60% off subscriptions at babbel.com/CityCast. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/CityCast. Spelled BABBEL.com/CityCast. Babbel.com/CityCast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Okay, so even if you understand these updates to our county property taxes, filing taxes in general, in whatever form, it can get confusing, it can get expensive, it is tough.
Yeah, truly. I use TurboTax, and I feel like I pay as much to file my taxes as I get back in my tax return, which is
kind
like,
of
what
criminal.
am I doing?
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. When I hear about how the process works in other countries where it's free and easy,
They tell you how much you owe.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I don't have to do the math.
Meanwhile, here in the U.S., Elon Musk is reportedly trying to get access to our taxpayer information. I am not even going to touch that one right now. But the one piece of good news is there are free tax resources here in Pittsburgh and Allegheny County, so that if you want to bypass TurboTax, there are some options out there for you.
Yeah. So if you don't have complicated taxes like various income streams or properties, it's pretty simple to file through a couple different websites. There's the IRS website. There's the Department of Revenue's state-only filing system, the mypath.pa.gov, or myfreetaxes.com. But there are a bunch of free resources locally that can help you person to person if, filing it online still seems really daunting to you.
Yeah. And I remember back when I was a freelancer and I was getting little checks from all over the country, like the IRS website was not going to cut it.
No.
So I can totally relate if one of those websites just feels daunting or like you're not capable of doing things that way. So we're going to talk through some of these local resources here, but you don't need to worry about writing them down. We will have all of the resources available for you on our website at pittsburgh.citycast.fm.
Yes. So let's start with one of our favorite places for free resources, the Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh. A couple locations are hosting tax prep appointments, the Allegheny, Homewood, Hazelwood, the main location in Oakland, Squirrel Hill, and West End. But you have to book your appointment online. It's through the VITA portal. So VITA is the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program. And this helps you if you make around or less than $65,000 a year. That's the income requirement. But if you don't actually need peer-to-peer support, another great tip is that the Carnegie libraries might already have some of these tax forms printed and available if you need a hard copy, or you can print forms that you need because the first 10 pages are free at Carnegie Library's public computers. So that's a great tip.
Yeah, what a great hack. I have sometimes rushed to Kinko's to do a last minute print, and that is definitely not free. So
Yeah.
I'm glad to know about this.
Skip that.
Yeah, I know a name I always see this time of year for offering tax prep is the United Way.
Yeah, that's a big one. United Way of Southwestern Pennsylvania partners with volunteers throughout the region. They help low-income households file their income taxes and help maximize their tax refund. We know we could all use some help with that. So this is that same income range, the $65,000 a year or less. You can sign up for an appointment, again, through their portal. We have that link on our website, or call 211, and you can set up an appointment that way.
And I know United Way also works with a bunch of local partners too. That's always seemed like a great service they provide.
Yeah, there's a really helpful portal where you can find a bunch of organizations and locations, like Just Harvest. That's a local hunger fighting organization based on the South Side. They manage the Free Tax Preparation Coalition. This is in partnership with United Way. They have 4 tax sites that offer in-person help, but they can also help with other things, like if you need to apply for an individual taxpayer identification number, or if you could use interpretation services, they have that too. And this is the same as above. They require that you make around $65,000 or less.
I know our regular host, Megan Harris, said she used the services at Just Harvest one year and that it was very streamlined. It made tax prep as easy as possible. So that one has her personal stamp of approval. And I too have heard really great things about this program.
Yeah.
Okay, Francesca, where else can folks go for help preparing their taxes?
Yeah, there's a list. You can go to the North Hills Community Outreach. They have a location in Millville or California Kirkbride. There are YMCA locations in Hazelwood and Homewood, the Jewish Community Center in Squirrel Hill, the Bedford Envision Center and Bedford Dwellings, and the Bloomfield Garfield Corporation Activity Center, plus more. So make sure you check this portal to see if there is a location near you.
You've mentioned services for folks making a certain income level or less, but what about for seniors? I imagine there's some services for them too.
Yeah, so there's AARP, but this surprised me, Mallory. You actually don't have to be of a certain age or meet an income requirement to get tax help from AARP. I figured for sure that you would have to be 65 or older. Not the case. So find your closest partner location and book an appointment through their website, or you can call 412-530-5194.
Wow, that is great to know about.
Yes. And here in Western Pennsylvania, we have a huge veterans population, and they can get help through the Veterans Leadership Program. This also goes through the VITA portal, and they say that assistance is available every Tuesday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. This is on Smallman Street in the Strip District, but you have to make an appointment. You don't just show up, but you can do that through the link in our article or call 844-VLP-VETS.
And again, if that was hard to keep track of in real time, you can find all of this on our website, pittsburgh.citycast.fm.
Yeah, and if you're in the city of Pittsburgh and you have tax questions, as you will, be sure to check the city's website. We also have that linked in our article. There's a list of FAQs like what the city's library and parks taxes go toward and how to change your mailing address for tax bills. So a lot of good information there.
Happy filing, everybody. Hope it's as painless as possible. Hope you get some money back.
Yeah.
That's all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. One last reminder to check out our website, pittsburgh.citycast.fm, where you can find all of these tax resources rounded up, plus lots of other great information about how to engage with Pittsburgh. We will be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Talk to you then. Okay, so we've given you a oh my God. I'm sorry, Francesca.